Alright, so getting into chapter 11, first thing you want to do is understand that our factoring is going to be very important. Keep in mind that there were two main types of factoring that we saw. A quick example of each one. Remember this one where you had three terms and we looked for numbers that multiply to equal front times back, which is 12. I'm sorry, negative 12 because it's 2 times negative 6. And adds to make, remember if there's no number there, negative 1. That we made a tree for 12 and did 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Because this one was negative, it means that these numbers here had to be negative. Because it makes negative 12, it means the signs were different. And the ones that make negative 1 are right here. And so remember what we did was we took that 2x and we put 2x over 3. We put 2x over negative 4. That one does not reduce, so it was 2x plus 3. This one does reduce to be x over negative 2, so we end up with x minus 2, and then that was what we got as our answer. Checking that, we got 2x squared minus 4 plus 3, which is your negative 1, and then minus 6. So again, that was our factoring of the three terms. You're going to get a lot of practice on that this unit. The second type of factoring was whenever there were two terms, and that was when we looked and said, what can we take out of 6 and 10, which is a 2. And notice both of these have at least one x, and we did the reverse distributive property where 6 divided by 2 is 3. I had 2 x's, I took 1 off, I'm left with 1, plus 10 divided by 2 is 5, with no x's left, and we went that way. So again, those are the two main types you're going to see in this part. You just want to make sure you bring these skills back quickly because this represents a majority of your Math XL work. Now it's not just factoring, but again, you're going to have to be able to factor in order to do what you need to do. Outside of that, this unit focuses on what we call rational expressions, which is another way to say sloppy fraction with variables. Today we're going to focus on simplifying basic rational expressions so we can get the basic skill under control. We are covering this for a whole week, and what that means is we have time to kind of get the foundation down and give you time to get used to it, and hopefully by Thursday or so everything should be kind of clicking into place, but you should be alright. But again, the most fundamental level of simplifying rational expressions is probably already understood, but let's just start there for now. Pretty much what happens is if you've got these things on top and bottom, keep in mind that anytime you have numbers on top and bottom, we reduce those. 8 over 10, for example, turns into, when you do math, enter 4 over 5, and so it means that we have a 4 on top and a 5 on the bottom. The second thing we see is that x plus 3 and x plus 3 are both the same on top and bottom. They cancel out, leaving us just x plus 2, and so you end up with 4 times x plus 2 over 5. I wouldn't worry about simplifying that. If you were taking a multiple choice test, you might need to do 4x plus 8, but for the most part that is simplified. That's as far as you can go. Alright. Looking at another one, there are no numbers here to cancel with the 3, but notice that x minus 2 here is the same as x minus 2 there, and so we can cancel both of those out. Keep in mind there is a 1 on top with a 3 on the bottom, and that is all we would do there. And then you look at another one. Again, 3 over 21 reduces. Both of those are divisible by 3, so it ends up as 1/7. We don't put a 1 on top unless necessary, but there is a 7 on the bottom. And then in terms of our x's, if I have 5 here and 2 there, these are going to cancel, and this is going to leave 3 of them because I take 2 off, which means x to the third is left up top, and that would be how that simplifies. And then another one real fast before we get to the real stuff is here where we take off what they have in common. Again, x minus 7 is on top and bottom. The only things left are x plus 3 and x plus 7. You cannot touch these two because there are plus signs attached. Now if it was just x over x or 3 over 7, you could look for it, but if there are things here that attach these two, you cannot touch the x's, you cannot touch the numbers. That's as far as we can go. Okay? Of course, we understand in terms of how all the lessons work, fractions will not be that simple. They actually won't be that simple. But here's an example of what today is going to be in terms of difficulty. They're not going to be ridiculously difficult, but again, it is going to require for you to factor. So you're going to have to look at the top and say, I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be 6 and add to be 5. And if you know the numbers, that's fine. Again, they need to add to be 5, which means that 2 and 3 is it, not 6 minus 1, but it would be a 2 and a 3 there. To make a positive 5, both of them need to be positive. And again, because there's a regular x, as we know, there's no need in putting that there. We end up with x plus 2 and x plus 3 up top. We can go on to factor this one. We know we're looking for numbers that multiply to equal 10 and add to make 7. The only numbers I know that multiply to make 10 and make 7 are 2 and 5. Again, in order to make a positive 7, they both need to be positive. So we end up with x plus 2 and x plus 5. Now you notice it looks just like the one question we had where we look for what they have in common, which of course is your x plus 2, which means my final answer is x plus 3 over x plus 5. Now I will give you a hint for today that everything will be pluses. I am not trying to kill you with the factoring. I just want to make sure you understand it. So every number you get is going to be positive. I won't say every number, but they shouldn't be that difficult to where you have to do a lot of work in terms of simplifying those. Simplify 2x minus 10, x squared plus 3x minus 40. Again, when we see this one, we remember that there are two terms, so we take what we can off of that. That means I can take off a 2, and I am left with x minus 5, because remember, you take the 2 off, 10 divided by 2 is 5. Down here, I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be negative 40 and add to be a positive 3. The only numbers I know that do that are 5 and 8. Since 3 is positive, 8 must be positive, and since 40 is negative, 5 has to be negative, so we end up with x minus 5, x plus 8. And again, playing that game, x minus 5 is what they have in common, so we end up with 2 over x plus 8 as our final answer there. So again, that's the second type of problem you're going to see. You're going to see one with factoring on top and bottom in terms of this way. You're going to see another one where you take a GCF out of the top, and then you're going to see another one where you take a GCF out of the bottom. But again, to start this, I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be 12 and add to be 7. The only numbers I know of are 3 and 4, and those numbers actually work, so you end up with x plus 3, x plus 4. On the bottom, the only thing we can take out is a 3, so we take off a 3 and we're left with x plus 3, because remember 9 divided by 3 is 3. Again, taking off what they have in common is that, and you end up with x plus 4 over 3. So pretty much, again, the only thing that's going to be tough is the factoring, but once you get your factoring under control, you should be okay. I will warn you that if you do not get your factoring under control, it's going to be a long exit for the year for you, because a lot of this stuff is going to have to deal with factoring for the rest of these weeks. So hopefully your factoring gets better, you get used to this stuff and get used to what's going on. Today is going to have a small amount of factoring review, and then that's meant to force you to speak up and let me know you need assistance. I don't know if I'll be able to teach you from the beginning, but if it's just something where I have to get you back on track, I'm sure I can do that. So please, if you have issues with the factoring questions at first, bring them back. Let me talk to you about it. Try to get you to understand what's going on. Don't be stubborn and just, pretty much try to trick somebody into giving you the answers. But whatever it is, if you were not ready to factor before, again, I can't promise it'll be easy or even possible to get you back this week. But I can tell you that if you don't speak up, it's going to be a very difficult end of the year. Use your time wisely, and again, be careful to worry more about learning how to do it than simply tricking someone into giving you the answer. Getting that A on the Math XL is not going to help you at this point as much as anything else, because we are getting to the end of the year. A lot of your points are now going to be on quizzes, not Math XL, so keep that in mind whenever you're doing that. Good luck.